Namaskar and welcome to this fresh episode of Genext. I'm Sakal Bhatt. Well, post the success of movie Bagh Milkha Bagh, we've seen a very interesting trend coming up, especially in NCR Delhi. The intake percentage of youngsters joining premier sports academies, or for that matter their neighborhood gyms, has gone up. Just to quote a few statistics, Chatusal Stadium says there's an increase in 30% as far as intake of youngsters for training in athletics, in wrestling is concerned. Talking about Tyagaraja, the authorities say there's been a rise, 20% rise in the applications that they have been, in fact, they have received post Bagh Milkha Bagh release. In today's Genext, we decided to talk about the fact that what is it that really inspires today's generation when it comes to picking up sports, either for their passion, for their love for the game, or for the fact that they want to represent the country and make a career out of it. Having said that, is India, in fact, truly, can we call it a truly emerging sporting nation? And if at all that's true, what does it really require to sustain this momentum and not really let it fade away as euphoria? Because we know that when Delhi hosted 2010, we got to see a similar sort of thing. And to do that, we're extremely glad to have on our show today on Genext, Olympian Zafar Iqbal Saab, who doesn't need any introduction. Thank you so much, sir. It's an honor to have you on our show and extremely glad to have with us shooter Shimon Sharif, who has represented India in various national and international shooting competitions. Right. All right, and of course, my Genext audience, thank you so much for joining us today. Zafar Saab, let me start with you. Does it always take a movie like Chak De or Bagh Milkha Bagh, I know you're smiling, to trigger that passion amongst youngsters? Because at least whatever reports or trends that we have seen, there is a rise in, the 20-30% is not the thing. The thing is that it triggers that. I want to go there, I want to do it.
Yeah, after the 2010 Commonwealth Games, where we bagged the more than 100 medals, and it was a remarkable performance by the Indian sports persons. There's no doubt about it. And from there only, what I have observed that in many fields like shooting, or in hockey also, the football, and the general trend is there that yes, we must take part. The new generation, they must take part. Otherwise, they are more keen to watch the movie or drama or something like. But what we want, they must take part in physical activities, whether they...
From what Zafar Saab said, Shimon, how do you really look at that? I mean, you need a dramatic storyline like we saw in Chak De, the way it was represented. Nobody would have thought that, is this what happens in women hockey? Then we had Milkha Singh, and then everybody had a different perspective, the way they looked at not only his life, but also at the sport.
Oh, certainly, a good Bollywood movie obviously, puts a lot of spotlight on the sport and on the sporting legend. We've seen, young kids lining up at the halls to watch Milkha Singh. I don't think so they knew who Milkha Singh was before this movie was made. People of my age would know who Milkha Singh was, but I don't think so children in the school who really knew before the movie. So certainly, these movies are really helpful to promote the sport.
And after that, what really happens? How do we sustain that momentum?
It creates initial buzz and people get attracted to the sport. But as Zafar said, absolutely is right, you need a structure.
Championship that they participated, they managed, although they lost at the final stage. But gone are the days when sports meant cricket, where big bucks meant cricket. Now you have hockey, you have archery, you have league competitions coming in badminton also. So it's just not restrained to big screen movies. There is much more to it. If you could just put it in wider perspective.
No, in my opinion, yes, a lot of people now, they're realizing they should play hockey. Why they should play? Because, the new generation, they always want, there should be something. Means if they're taking part in any activities, or if they're taking any game in a serious way, the natural goes also. And the money,
in hockey as well.
And the main thing is that, the money is there in cricket, unlike in hockey. But in hockey also, if you see for the last 3-4 years, though we have started the World Series Hockey and Hockey India League. So, in my opinion, it's a very good beginning for the hockey, because a player of maybe high school or intermediate, or if he's doing honors, so naturally he can fetch a lot of money if he's taking part in such leagues. A person who is playing for a month, he can fetch maybe between 10 lakhs to 50 lakhs. So is a big amount if you compare what we were earlier getting it. So the new generation are very keen. Yes, there should be a career in every game. That's the main reason.
If I may ask you, especially in your sports like shooting, where one needs to really pump in a lot of money.
Yeah, shooting is a little expensive sport, you know. There are sports where you
money in training, what I meant, yes.
Yeah, it's training, and also, you know, when it comes to buying your equipment, the guns which are used in Olympic shooting sports are very expensive, and most important, they're not available in the country. You need to import it, and then there are certain policies and all which you have to fulfill. So it's a bit difficult in the beginning, but once you have your own equipment and you get started, then things become much more easy as you climb the sport. You know,
those like Bindra who end up doing so well at the international arena, and you know, when the world looks at India as upcoming, you know, country doing very well in the international circuit, then it really changed at the ground level. What are the changes that you really see at the ground level in terms of popularity? I'm talking to you specifically in terms of shooting.
See, shooters did very well in the Commonwealth Games 2010, and we won the maximum gold medals. So obviously the popularity of the sport, you know, did rise up. And then last Olympics last year, when Gagan Narang and Vijay Kumar won Olympic medals, again it got a shot in the arm. So certainly, you know, these you need heroes in a sport. When somebody does well at the Olympics and world level, the sport definitely gets popular.
We need heroes in a sport, that goes without saying. But since we were talking to you about hockey, or aapne kaha ki before you make it, besides the popularity, for them to look at it as a career option point of view, there is much more than which needs to be done. The guys that come in hockey, half of them come from rural India. Yeah. And they are not the generation who is used to burgers and sandwiches. They belong to, I mean, they have toiled their way. Yes.
No, actually, sports is a very tough subject, I would say. You know, you have to put everything from your childhood. If a lot of things you have to kill yourself, your interest should go off, because you have to put your everything in that particular training or something like that. You have to work for more than maybe 5-6 hours in a day. So you may be like a professional, but you may not get so much money out of it. This is the situation in our country. But you know, if you see in the recent past, the Indian Badminton League has started. So then, if they play the league, they can get a lot of money out of it. A person who is getting 40-50 lakhs for a month or so, naturally he won't be able to get so much money, this money, after completing his entire service, maybe of 30 years.
True. So with the infrastructure, the system, not only infrastructure, the system that is or is not at place starting from school. We cannot compare ourselves to countries like China and Australia, because there the story is totally different, irrespective of the population.
Their mindset is different. You know, they think that yes, sports give a lot of things. You know,
some questions here. Ji, पूछिए सवाल.
Jafar sir, my question is that what is the participation of parent side, like to motivate their child, yeah, boost up their child? Because I think this is the India where will people feel like Bharat Mata. Because if you feel them to play for the India this thing should, I think, come from the parents.
आप क्या कहना चाह रहे कि parents inspire कितना करते हैं या नहीं करते?
Yes, because if I talk about the Chak De India and Bhag Milkha Bhag Singh movie, so they started from, I think their bottom line is that he play for India. I think this thing should will come from the parent side.
Absolutely right, because you know, the parents are very much there. They are this basic supporting person at the beginning. So naturally, if you see in the entire world, you know, the parents, they their children to the field and they encourage children to countries. But here is a big difference between
a big divide. Very relevant point there, Shimon, if you could take it further. Big divide in terms of haves and have-nots. You've got Bharat, you've got rural India, you've got urban India, you've got urban India who comes mostly for shooting, if I'm not wrong, you'll correct me there. Then you've got sports like archery, which I think few years back we did not even take it up so seriously in terms of is this going to be a sport to reckon with unless we picked up that medal in archery. So how do you explain?
Absolutely right. And you were just talking about comparing India with countries like China and Austria and all. So I would say, let's put it this way. If we have like 4 good shooting ranges in India, one in Delhi which was made for the Commonwealth Games and one in Bangalore and Pune and Chennai. So in China would have around 100 such ranges of such standards. So that is the kind of difference between these countries. And moreover, we as Indians, we lack the sporting culture. I mean, we would just be wanting to watch a cricket match, wherein all these European countries, they are interested in other sports. They equally, if they watch a field game, they are also interested in individual games like athletics and, boxing and all. They are like sport lovers. They crowd up at the stadiums.
Why do you think the sporting culture, real sporting culture, is missing, if at all, if it is missing?
One is,
where are we lagging behind?
Yeah, the participation is not there in the Nehru Stadium. You'll obviously not have an access to all the equipments which are required to.
But are we done with our cricket fixation?
I can't make any comment on that issue.
Isn't that a mental block?
No, what Shimon was telling is telling the true story of our own country.
Absolutely.
जो मैं कहना चाहता हूँ ऑडियंस से वो और जो भी लोग देख रहे हैं, एक्चुअली क्या है कि हम लोगों को बड़ा गलत फहमी भी है कुछ इस सेंस में कि हमारे पास कोई फैसिलिटीज नहीं है. आई एम नॉट सेइंग एनीथिंग एल्स. फॉर टेक एग्जांपल ऑफ क्रिकेट. ये क्रिकेट जो है वो गली कूचों में हो रही है और उसी से निकल भी रहे. तो कोई फैसिलिटीज गली कूचों में नहीं है कि आप चाहिए कोई स्टेडियम चाहिए, फ्लड लाइट चाहिए. बेसिक चीज क्या हो रही है हमारी कंट्री के अंदर कि इंटरेस्ट नहीं है स्पोर्ट्स के अंदर कि वो डिफरेंट डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स में हमारे कई 100 डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स हैं कि किसी डिस्ट्रिक्ट में कोई क्लब बड़ा 50s में हॉकी खेली जाती थी.
आपके टाइम सर जनरेशन जो थी
मुझसे मैं अभी भी कहना चाहता हूं कि हमारे टाइम से तो एक डिक्लाइन शुरू हो गया था, मगर उससे पहले अगर आप ले
आना चाहूंगी. अगर आप कह रहे कि आपके टाइम से डिक्लाइन शुरू हो गया था, दैट मीन्स जब आपकी टीम ने वो किया जो हम तब 1980 के बाद नहीं कर पाए, दैट मीन्स वो जज्बा था और हॉकी उतना पॉपुलर स्पोर्ट था. हमने दुनिया को हॉकी सिखाई, नहीं चाहे कोई भी टर्फ हो.
मैं वही कहना चाह रहा हूं कि उस जमाने में 30s 40s में कोई ऐसा स्टेडियम फ्लडलिट नहीं था, ना टीवी था, ना कोई कैमरा था, मगर लोगों के अंदर इंटरेस्ट था. मैं अभी भी कहना चाहता हूं कि शूटर जो है ऐसे शूटर से जो गांव के अंदर रहते हैं फैसिलिटीज होनी चाहिए, मगर एट द सेम टाइम इंटरेस्ट जरूरी है. वो अगर जज्बा ही नहीं है उसके अंदर तो वो क्या, जैसे भाग मिल्खा भाग में अगर आप देखेंगे तो उसमें क्या चीज दिखाया है, उसमें यही दिखाया है कि स्पोर्ट्स मैन और जो आदमी है वो जो बच्चा है उसके अंदर वो लगन है, वो तो कहीं भी कुछ कर सकता है, चाहे वो
में कहीं पे वो पैशन की कहीं पे कमी है.
अब
जितना होना चाहिए
वही मैं कह रहा हूं. आज के जनरेशन को मैं यही कहना चाहता हूं कि देखिए मेरा सिर्फ मतलब है कि 500 रुपए के पेन आप खरीदेंगे और 5 रुपए का पेन खरीदेंगे तो 500 रुपए से आप अच्छा नहीं लिख सकते. अगर वो लिखने वाला 5 रुपए वाला वो अच्छा लिखेगा. अगर
सिमोन सर, मेरा आपसे क्वेश्चन है सर. हम देखते हैं कि मतलब जैसे सभी बड़े स्टार खिलाड़ी एक स्मॉल टाउन बैकग्राउंड से आते हैं, तो आप तो सर अनट्रेडिशनल गेम में रहे हो, तो ऐसा नहीं किया जा सकता कि सर मतलब बजाय मेट्रो सिटीज में सेंटर खोलने के शूटिंग्स के या स्विमिंग्स के हम इसे स्मॉल टाउन तरफ ही शिफ्ट कर दें लोगों के लिए इंटरेस्ट क्रिएट करने को?
जैसा कि मैं कह रहा था, चाइना का एग्जांपल दे रहा था, तो शूटिंग रेंजेस ये खुलनी चाहिए क्योंकि स्पेशली जो एक इवेंट होता है जिसमें हमने ओलंपिक गोल्ड जीता था, अभिनव बिंद्रा ने जिसमें गोल्ड जीता था, 10 मीटर इवेंट, कोई लाइसेंसिंग वगैरह की जरूरत नहीं है. तो इजिली हर एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट और छोटे सिटी, हर सिटी मतलब हर एक अच्छे स्कूल या किसी उसमें कॉलेज में ये आराम से खोला जा सकता है. बिल्कुल होने चाहिए रेंजेस.
ऑलराइट, यस, सवाल.
Yes, I am Dr. Raman. I am from Karnataka. Sir, we are all grateful.
What did not really allow you to?
So that's why they are not taking part in that. If they are attracted by introducing a course as a subject, sports as a subject, so naturally everybody will try to go there. And I'm sure if you are going and taking part in the sporting activities, you will who can come and join the national side. So there is a potential, because you people have equally potential as we were. So what I meant to say to you, if there is a career in a sport, then naturally we have to take part in.
That would really inspire sports genext, not Bhag Milkha Bhag, not really Chak De. There has to be something more than, because when we talk about all those things, वो एक euphoria की बात आ जाती है ज़फर साहब.
नहीं, मैं सिर्फ यही wrap up from my side is that कि मैं सिर्फ यही कहना चाहता हूँ कि it's okay, where is the problem in our country? The problem is stage wise है. वो उसकी वजह ये है कि एक बच्चा अगर हाई स्कूल में जाता है तो वो अगर खेलता तो उसको कुछ मिलता नहीं है. Unless he reaches and represent the country in the Olympic Games or the World Cup or Commonwealth Games, Ranji खेलते हैं, you will get so much money. So a Ranji player makes a huge money as compared to a player who is representing in shooting or hockey. He won't be able to get that money. So my only question is that those who are framing all these things, they should look into it in the sense that in every stage there should be some incentive.
Make it lucrative.
Yes,
make it lucrative.
Okay. And some monetary benefit to a particular athlete who is really doing well in that particular game.
Okay. Yes.
I think it's not the duty of sports person to think about how he is going to make money and all. It's the duty, it's a social obligation of the corporates, which market themselves through the youth. So I think it's the duty of a sportsman just to excel in the sport.
That's about the business of sports.
Yeah.
When you have the sponsors, and that's a different ballgame.
Yes. So that's what I'm trying to say. If you start playing a sport, you don't have to think whether you're going to make money or not. People in abroad, in European countries, they hardly make any money. They have sport is a parallel career for them. I know so many world level shooters.
Sure. What is the way forward?
The way forward is, just get into a sport and don't, think that if you get into a sport that you're going to, you're unable to make a career out of it. I'm sure, doors open once you get into a sport and start doing well.
Once you do it, doors open and opportunities come. Yeah. And well, on that optimistic note, thank you both of you, Simon Sheriff, international shooter, and of course Zafar Iqbal, former Olympian. Thank you very much for joining us on the show. And I also thank my genext audience. With that, it's time to wrap up. In case you have any suggestions, queries, you can also write to us. Our email ID is right on your screen. Right now, from me and my entire team of genext, thank you so much for tuning in. Until we meet you again next week. Thank you so much. Namaskar.